Ever since the Hamas massacre of Israelis on October the 7th, there has been the potential for all-out conflict in the Middle East. The region is tonight the closest it has yet come after the assassination of Hamas's political mastermind, Ismail Haniyeh, during a visit to the Iranian capital, Tehran. Israel hasn't said it was involved. It didn't need to. Mr. Haniyeh's killing doesn't just increase the risk of reprisals, those have already been threatened, but it may suffocate hopes of peace. He was Hamas's chief negotiator. He was also the second leader of an Iranian-backed anti-Israel militant group to be killed in the past 24 hours. A military commander of the Lebanese group Hezbollah was killed in an airstrike in the capital Beirut. Israel did claim that one.
On the streets of Tehran, protests after the killing of Ismail Haniyeh. To chants of death to America and death to Israel. The Hamas political leader was mourned just hours after Israel assassinated him on Iranian territory. A strike as audacious as it was shocking. Yesterday, the man who was near the top of Israel's hit list was meeting Iran's supreme leader. They were allies and friends, and though his killing is unlikely to undermine Hamas, Iran's response risks undermining stability throughout the region. On October the 7th, as Hamas fighters broke through Israel's borders, Haniyeh was seen celebrating their attack. He became the voice of the organisation in the so far unsuccessful ceasefire negotiations. His seniority put him and his family in Israeli sights. This the moment he was told 3 of his sons and 4 grandchildren had been killed in an attack. Haniyeh was not the only enemy of Israel to be targeted in a foreign capital last night. Just hours before, in Beirut, a senior Hezbollah military commander was assassinated in the southern suburbs. The attack on Fuad Shukar in this apartment block was retaliation for the killing of 12 children in the Israeli-occupied Golan Heights and had already raised fears of a regional war.
The Israelis will see what happened here last night and what happened in Tehran as a very great success. But that sense of victory may well be short-lived, because what happened here and what happened in Iran has the potential to destabilise further this entire region.
This evening, the Israeli Prime Minister acknowledged what may be to come.
There are challenging days ahead of us. Since the attack in Beirut, threats have been heard from all sides. We are prepared for any scenario and will stand united and determined against any threat.
Today, Lebanon's foreign minister warned there would be a response from Hezbollah and the Iranians.
I'm worried, yes. I'm afraid, yes, also, that such kind of things, if develop, could cause a regional war. And regional war could mean that a lot of international war. Because if there is a regional war, then probably, and that's the intention of Israel, is that for the United States to get involved. And this would be a very, very dangerous situation.
And how likely do you think that regional war is, given what's gone on?
Well, after what happened yesterday here in Beirut and in Tehran, I really I'm really afraid of that.
Tonight, the youngest victims of the Beirut strike were buried, children who played no part in the political choices of adults, yet denied a future, however uncertain that future may have been. Emma Murphy, News at 10, Beirut.
Well, let's go to John Irvine in Tel Aviv tonight. And as we were hearing in Emma's report there, Benjamin Netanyahu's warned Israelis of threats being sounded from everywhere. Retaliation will come. What are you hearing there?
Good evening, Julie. I think Israelis are frightened and somewhat confused. Take as an example the families of the hostages who must be wondering if these assassinations will make their government more amenable to a ceasefire deal that looks far harder to achieve, given that one of the 2 men assassinated last night was actually Hamas's chief negotiator. So the region finds itself on the brink yet again, but we've been here before and there have been climb downs. You recall, Julie, in April, the Israelis assassinated a top Iranian commander in Damascus. The Iranians retaliated by firing hundreds of missiles at Israel, the first direct attack by Iran on this country. In the end, that barrage ended up being more symbolic than effective and tensions died down. I think one of the most interesting things about the Hezbollah commander killed in Beirut last night was the fact that he was a wanted man in Washington as well. The Americans had a $5 million bounty on his head. I think the Israelis were careful to select a US-approved target because they wanted to make sure that the Americans live up to their pledge to defend this country in the event of retaliation. That will be something that Hezbollah and the Iranians are factoring in as they ponder over what to do next. If they crank things up, they may find themselves fighting not just the IDF, but the US military as well.